The sequence and timing of Mr. Gates' resignation from the House raises serious questions about the contents of the House Ethics Committee report.
I think there should not be any limitation on the Senate Judiciary Committee's investigation, including whatever the House Ethics Committee has generated.
So you want to see it?
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Me too. Matt Gaetz is already facing a lot of questions after Donald Trump picked him as Attorney General. And as we mentioned, Republicans and Democrats on the Senate Judiciary Committee say they'd like to see the findings of this ethics probe. That committee was supposed to meet tomorrow, but for some reason, it's been canceled. They were expected to discuss releasing the report about Matt Gaetz. So let's discuss it with Basil Smikle, Democratic strategist and former executive director of the New York State Democratic Party. He's now an MSNBC political analyst and Columbia University professor, and former Republican Congressman Charlie Dent of Pennsylvania. He is now senior advisor to the group Our Republican Legacy. Charlie, here's why I always want you to come, but specifically tonight, you were chairman of the House Ethics Committee, and you dealt with these types of investigations regularly. Are we ever going to see this report?
I think there's a decent chance that we will. Ordinarily, when a member of Congress resigns, the House Ethics Committee loses jurisdiction over the matter. But in this case, it appears that the investigation was complete, and all that had to happen was for the committee to vote on the report and then to release that report in the event they were going to sanction Mr. Gaetz. I suspect that's what was going to happen. Gaetz seems to think that maybe this resignation will save him. But now that, he is a nominee for the office of Attorney General, the Senate will want this report as part of their official record as they go about their proceedings on his nomination. So I believe the Ethics Committee can release the report, even though he is out. In fact, there is precedent for this. I believe Senator Ensign, he had resigned, I believe, just prior to some findings by the Ethics Committee in the Senate, and that report was released after he left the Senate. So I believe they will release it. Given the magnitude of the job that Gaetz is stepping into, I think there will be a hue and cry that this report be released. I've been involved with these situations many times, and when they release these reports, they're usually done on a unanimous basis. The Ethics Committee is 5 members Republican, 5 members Democrat. It has to be done on a bipartisan basis. And when they sanction somebody, there's usually total agreement.
Basil, even if this report doesn't see the light of day, the likelihood that Matt Gaetz actually gets this gig, it is a long shot. And most people who are looking at this know it. Donald Trump probably does as well. So what do you think the real end game is here?
Well, I think the end game is to initially sort of scare everybody, because remember, there was a long time where we talked about Donald Trump's campaign being about retribution and retaliation. So if this is the person you pick, and we've also talked about, by the way, that a lot of people, Trump himself, but a lot of people around Trump need him to be president to kind of exonerate them from all of the other investigations that they have. So if you think about this pick in that way, through that lens, it's like, hey, not only are we getting somebody that, we can make all of his past indiscretions go away, but now we can use him as a vehicle to exact our retribution and retaliation against our enemies. But, when you think about someone like Senator Cornyn, and I'm not necessarily going to sing his praises, but he's saying, we need to see this report. It would probably be in the best interest to see the report. From his point of view, it's not to embarrass Donald Trump. But the reality is none of them want to be embarrassed. None of them want to be able to say, oh, my God, this person who's actually in charge of the FBI and all of these other law enforcement agencies really has this stuff in his background. Like, we don't want to be embarrassed. So on the one hand, yes, you think it's for the good of the body, even if it's selfishly for the good of their relationship with Donald Trump. It is important that they kind of get this right.
Char, what do you think about these picks, right? You are part of this group, sort of legacy Republicans. And for the last week, I kept hearing, and we've all heard for 9 years, he's going to pick some good people, Even if people don't agree with Marco Rubio, it's fair to say Marco Rubio, he's qualified for the job. But there's a number of other picks that are shockers. What do you think the game plan really is here, and who stands out to you as maybe the most surprising, besides Gaetz?
Well, I think certainly the appointment of nomination of RFK Jr. for HHS secretary is also very stunning, given his anti-vax profile and his, he's kind of prone to quackery. And I think obviously that raises all sorts of red flags. I'm friends with Tulsi Gabbard, but I think as director of national intelligence, people are going to fairly raise the issue of her association with Russia and with Syrian President Bashar al-Assad. That will be raised. And she also was frankly critical of Donald Trump when he ordered the assassination of Soleimani. She was very critical of that. I think called it an unlawful killing or execution. So I think that's one that will raise some red flags as well. The Secretary of Defense pick. Look, I respect the gentleman's service to our country. But boy, he's not a Richard Perry, a Jim Mattis, or a Bob Gates. Usually these are people who go to that Secretary of Defense position, have a lot of experience, management experience, overseeing large, complex organizations. So those are the ones that have surprised me, but none more than Gates and Kennedy, I suspect.
I want to ask about the January 6th rioters, because a federal judge has agreed to delay the trial of a man accused of attacking the Capitol. And the defendant argued that the trial was going to be pointless because Trump has vowed to pardon him. What's your reaction?
That's exactly what they wanted. Exactly what they wanted, to get him in, for Trump to be in office, to make all of this go away, to make all of it magically go away. And that's really the challenge for us going forward, right? Which is, how are we going to get accountability for what happened on January 6th, number one? And number two, how are we going to stop it from happening again if individuals, including up to and including the President of the United States, have a level of immunity? Right? And that's, I think, what's scaring so many people. And I've said this before, it's not just about who he decides to pardon, it's also who they decide to arrest. It's the behavior that they decide to criminalize. That is a real concern, because if you're a librarian, if you're a teacher, if you sell books, all of these things, if you're a journalist, all of these things can be criminalized, even as people who stormed the Capitol and engaged in insurrection are being pardoned. So it's sort of the two-pronged effect of his presidency. Number one, pardon the people who are loyal to him. And number two, criminalize all the people in their activities that they don't like.